If they fall away, they can't come with you to the celestial kingdom.
Oh man, this is back when I was Mormon. Holy cow.
You put it in, then you don't move. Because if you move, then you're having sex.
This is bad, you can do it. You can do it only when you get married. And then you get married and you're expecting a switch to turn on.
What the hell's the matter with me? Like, what's the matter with me?
It's no surprise that the Mormon culture is having a bit of a moment right now. From the reality TV shows to the viral ex-Mormon tell-alls, the world seems obsessed with the secrets, rules, and taboos of Utah.
There are a lot of rules that we have to follow. We were raised to be these housewives.
I grew up Mormon.
The story of the exact moment that I stopped believing in the Mormon church.
And honestly, I've been wanting to make this video for about a year. So when I finally got a chance to go to Salt Lake City, I was really excited. Officially, I was here for a travel conference, but if I'm being very honest, I was mostly here to make this video. And FYI, I knew almost nothing about this world coming in. On the first day of the conference, I had my own personal and very unexpected introduction to Utah's rules. So I'm standing in line at a conference and they give us a ticket to get a drink. There's a guy that comes around and he says, "Show me your ID." I was shocked. I was like, well, thank you so much that, I haven't been asked for an ID in a very long time. But then he goes and he asks for an ID to the guy that's standing behind me and the guy is like, 65. I show him my Canadian driver's license. Now, mind you, Canada is the next country over. He looks at it and he goes, "I'm so sorry, I can't accept that." And at first I thought he was joking. He said, no, I'm for real. I really can't accept that. You have a passport. And I usually don't carry my passport with me. I usually carry a screenshot on my phone. And so I showed him that and he said, "I'm so sorry, I can't accept that." And this is when I lost it. It turns out that Utah has some of the most bizarre and strict liquor laws in the country. We're talking mandatory ID screening at every door if they're serving alcohol, and that's regardless of whether you're gonna be drinking or not. Spirits are limited to 1.5 ounces per drink, and happy hours are actually illegal. And considering Utah was founded by Mormon pioneers, it's not exactly surprising that the state's culture and laws have been heavily shaped by the Mormon Church. I was planning to wait until the conference to really start digging into all of this, but then, completely by chance, I met Caden. So Caden is an ex-Mormon from Utah who is living out of a van and creating content about his experiences. And thankfully, he was very open to talking to me about what it was actually like growing up Mormon in Utah. So you grew up Mormon, you went to school as a Mormon. Up until what age were you Mormon?
21.
Growing up, did you think alcohol was evil?
Oh yeah, this might be like TMI, but I thought the second someone had a drink, they would like abuse their family or something crazy. Like I thought it was the root of all evil. You're gonna lose all control and do horrible things. It was also like a scary thing to talk about because it made you think about your beliefs and challenge them. So we really didn't talk about alcohol, and if someone drank alcohol, we weren't really friends with them, at least in my community. When I was in college, I was hanging out with my uncle. He's not Mormon. And he came home from the restaurant after having a couple drinks, and he was a little buzzed, and I'd never been around someone that was buzzed. And then he went and he read bedtime stories to his daughter. And I was like, wait a second, you didn't like become a bad person just because you tried, like you had some alcohol? And then a week later, I like deconstructed all of it. Mormons can't drink coffee. It's really, really bad. But they can have caffeine, just specifically not coffee or tea.
And Coke?
You can, oh yeah.
So you can have Coke, which has a ton of caffeine in it, but not coffee or tea.
Yeah. The church does a really good job at making you not think deeper into anything. Like if you have doubts, doubt those because those are of the devil. Or if you have questions, you're not meant to know everything. You just have to have faith,
So alcohol and caffeine aren't just things Mormons are told to avoid. They're part of a much bigger set of expectations around how you're supposed to live your life. And this idea of doubting your doubts really stayed with me. Because if you follow the rules, stay clean and pure, get married, have a family, and live the way that you're supposed to, there's a pretty big reward waiting for you on the other side. To see what that idea looks like, I headed to the heart of Mormonism, Temple Square, on a Sunday. And man, oh man, did it look incredibly wholesome.
diddling ding dong day. Ooh, ooh, do-wop diddling ding dong day.
If we are to understand Mormon dating, we really need to understand where this all started. And don't worry, I'll keep this super brief. In 1820, a 14-year-old Joseph Smith went into the woods near his home in upstate New York because he was trying to figure out which church was actually true. According to Smith, he prayed, and God the Father and Jesus Christ appeared to him. And a few years later, he said an angel named Moroni appeared to him and told him about a set of golden plates buried in a hill. And this is where the story gets pretty wild. Smith said he could translate the plates using special stones. He sometimes placed a seer stone inside a hat, put his face over the hat to block out the light, and dictated the words that appeared to him. That became the Book of Mormon. And in 1830, Smith founded what would eventually become the Church of Jesus Christ of the Latter-day Saints. So you'll hear me use both Mormon and LDS throughout the video, even though LDS, or Latter-day Saints, is the preferred term. It's just that more people are familiar with the term Mormon. Now, of course, not everyone believed Joseph Smith. There were plenty of people who questioned his claims, including the whole story around the golden plates, who actually saw them, what they saw, and whether they really existed at all. But whatever you believe about Joseph Smith, there is little denying that this religious movement grew pretty quickly. After years of conflict and persecution, thousands of Mormons headed west under the leadership of Brigham Young, eventually settling here in Utah. And this is where the story becomes especially relevant to dating. Marriage and family were at the center of Mormon life, and at one point that even meant plural marriage, with some Mormon men taking multiple wives. The church eventually abandoned polygamy, but this idea that marriage and family were integral to one's religious life remained. And that matters because Mormons developed some very specific ideas about dating, sex, and who you should ultimately marry. I was so curious to find out more that the next day I headed to Ensign College, right in the heart of Salt Lake City. Now, I gotta say, I was severely confused because I thought that I was actually heading to BYU, the famous big Mormon university, which, as I later found out, was actually in Provo, not in Salt Lake City. So I'm here at the Ensign College. It's a university for Mormons, or a large population of Mormons go here. I'm very nervous because I don't have anybody helping me today. It's just me on my own with my camera. So I was hoping there would be someone outside, but it's absolutely empty. And it's no surprise because it's 34 degrees Celsius. That's probably high 90s in Fahrenheit. But the whole place is deserted, and that makes my job so much harder. You know, I love my job, but sometimes it's just terrifying. You know, no one's gonna do this for you. You have to force yourself to go do these crazy things. So yeah, completely empty. There's this statue right by the university showing a family. Here's another one of a mom and a daughter. I'm literally sitting outside the university like a stalker. Okay, so there was literally no one around. So when I spotted my first white-collared Mormon, I practically sprinted toward this poor guy.
My name's Ben.
Ben, and you go to...
I go to BYU Provo.
Have you drank caffeine before? I know you get that question a lot, probably.
Yeah, I did. I have drinking caffeine. It was actually a monster yesterday. We have something called the Word of Wisdom. We believe this is a revelation from God that told us not to smoke cigarettes, drink alcohol, mostly just things that harm your body. As to energy drinks, that's kind of a debate, and it's dependent on you, like your own personal revelation or faith, because the prophet has not told us that Monster is like not allowed or something. So yeah, we believe in living prophets. We follow them as they speak today.
So you've never had a coffee before?
Nope.
Never. Tea?
Nope.
For someone from, Latter-day Saints, is it possible to date or be with someone who's not?
I mean, I have friends who go on dates with people who are not members of our faith, but the goal is always to get married in the temple. Our belief is that marriage does not stop when you die. And so in order to be married forever, you both have to accept Jesus Christ as your Savior, be baptized in His name by proper authority, and keep your covenants with God. And so if someone's not with you or doing that in your faith, then even though you might get married in the temple, if they fall away, they can't come with you to the celestial kingdom. That's a word that some people also may not have heard of. In Chinese, it's called 高荣国度, but it's kind of like the highest degree of heaven.
I see. So it's like eternal marriage for eternity.
Yeah.
What is considered the right age to get married here? Like, what is considered too old?
Too old? Okay, loaded question. I think it's pretty normal for people to get married after they serve a mission, which would be like 22. Like the actual median is probably something more like 24, but just because you're 30 and you're not married, there's not like a problem.
And how old are you?
I'm 22.
22. Okay. So did you do your mission yet, or do you have to do it still?
Yeah, I served in Taiwan.
Wow, impressive. And so now, how long do you have until you technically should get married, or is it just very open to whatever you feel like?
No, it's just whenever you want.
Okay.
I have a girlfriend. She's really nice. So maybe, but there's no one making us get married, nothing like that. I don't think other people pressure you too, but you might worry yourself, like that if I'm not married by the time I leave college, I'll never get married. I don't think that's like other people pressuring you. I think it's just what you're thinking because you also see other people getting married.
I have to ask you an uncomfortable question. Sex before marriage is taboo, right?
That is not taboo. It is just completely not allowed. So it's not a cultural thing. It's a commandment from God.
Okay, this is going to be a very uncomfortable one. You don't have to answer this. You know what I'm probably going to ask you, right? There is a loophole that you probably know of, which is called soaking. Is this truth or is this myth?
I don't know anybody who has done that or know anybody who knows anybody who's done that. I've heard of it, but that was when I was in high school in Oregon. So no comment.
I have to tell you, I just heard of this thing today.
Oh, I know what you're...
And I've done the Reddit search, and it turns out it's kind of a myth more than it is a reality.
I know someone that's done it.
Talk to me about it.
Soaking.
Yes.
Yes, yeah. Soaking is...
It is just the most...
It's like the Mormon version of the Catholic backdoor. You put it in, then you don't move, because if you move, then you're having sex, but apparently not. Putting it in isn't sex. Because yeah, why would that be?
So wait, okay, so first of all, I want to break this down. So the actual penetration part of it is okay as long as there is nothing else afterwards. Is that actually considered okay? Or
No,
is it
I
kind
mean
of
the
a
church is
loophole?
going to say it's not okay.
It's a loophole.
Yeah, I mean it's the same thing as like, I'm pretty sure in like the 80s or 90s there was a breakout of armpit herpes at BYU. Because it's just, you're a bunch of horny kids that can't have sex until you're married, so you want to go as close to the line as possible without technically breaking the line, but then those technicalities are breaking the line.
Apparently, so from what I read is you have a friend or someone who's like helping
the jump
you.
pumper, yes.
Yes.
Yeah, so I don't know if that was, I don't know anybody that's done that, but if you have a friend that's moving the bed, then you're technically not moving. You're
Imagine
just
being that
staying
friend.
there. That's a true friend right there. That's like especially like Utah Mormon culture though. Like in other states they don't do that. It's like its own weird little Mormon world where there's weird customs.
What is this app?
This is called Mutual. It is the Mormon dating app. Oh man, this is back when I was Mormon. Holy cow.
Wait, I want you to rewind.
Look, that could be you. That could be you. Oh wow, this is rough. Oh my God.
Those are nice photos.
Yeah. That's so. Oh wow, it's all this could be you. Damn, I had no game. This is like your Mormon Tinder. This is horrible. I was a virgin, if you couldn't tell. So here you can fill out your personal information, your marital status, children you may have, future children, relationship goals. Here you're looking. You can tell them if you're looking for a civil marriage where you're not worthy, or temple marriage if you're a good Mormon. And then here you have your church attendance. So you always want it as often as possible. And then here you have something called a temple recommend, where you have an interview with your church leader and you tell them all of your sins. And they tell you if you're allowed to go into the temple. So here's where you tell people you're dating if you are righteous enough, or if you're not a virgin, or bad things. And then here's your mission. If you served a mission, I went to one in Washington, unfortunately. And yeah, so if you're a guy, you definitely need to have served a mission. You need a temple recommend and you need to go to church as often as possible.
Can you get on a dating app if you haven't served a mission?
You can be on if no one's gonna love you.
Oh, really?
At least for men, yeah. Women, it's not as common. It's getting more common because they lower the age, but typically it has been if you don't get married the first few years of college, then you go on a mission as a girl, whereas guys, it's the second you turn 18, you have to go out, otherwise you're going to bring dishonor upon your family. Yeah, basically, it's the same as Tinder, except instead of hookups, it's called NCMOs, non-committal makeout sessions. If you're wanting no commitment and just to be physical, it's called a NCMO, NCMO. And no sex, no endings of anything. You just make out and maybe dry hump a little bit. And the term for dry humping is derfing. So, wow, this is crazy. I haven't thought about these since college. Yeah, so NCMOs don't always involve derfing, but derfing is usually a part of a NCMO. At least when I went to college, a lot of people would just send NCMO question mark. That's just like, you down? But that was for like if you were really upfront, I guess. Usually it's like, I guess you would text it, but also you would just kind of say like, oh, do you ever do NCMOs? Do you like NCMOs? And then they'd be like, oh yeah, I do. Interesting, let's go to the church parking lot and make out in my car.
I'm not sure if the church still does it, but there was a pamphlet that you got as a kid called the For Strength of Youth. That outlines that you can't go on dates at all and you can't date until you're 16 years old. And then from there on, you're supposed to only go on double dates or group dates. No like boyfriend, girlfriend, any of that until you're like 18. They used to teach, they probably don't anymore because they're doing like a rebrand, which is kind of annoying because, I don't know, I've been going to therapy for it. Especially women in the church, that if you have sex or engage in any of those kinds of acts before marriage, you are a chewed piece of gum. And no one wants to be the second person with a piece of gum. In college, your kiss count was a big thing, so you would count how many people you've kissed. And if you've kissed too many people, it's bad. And it goes from like such purity culture to the second you get married, you're expected to have sex with your husband all the time because he's been waiting so long. And honestly, Mormon men don't care too much about how you feel. In Mormon relationships, it can also still stay taboo. Like I have met people that think that sex is only for procreating, even within marriage. So they only have sex when they're trying to have a child. There's none of the actual bonding involved.
Here's another profile that says, I'm overly excited about sweet treats. It's so interesting. It's because you're denied everything else, so you like the sweet stuff, right?
Yeah, they all have sugar addictions and social media addictions. Yeah, the haircut, that is very Utah haircut. Shoulder length, kind of curls, but more like just a couple waves. And that's because it's very like traditional culture with gender roles and the worth of women being placed on what kind of husband they have, or like it's also very superficial. So that's why Utah also has a lot of plastic surgery, a lot of boob jobs, a lot of this, a lot of that, is because your worth as a woman is centered around what you can provide. Like, men decide your worth as a woman. They dye their hair blonde, they cut it to that haircut, they curl it like that, they get a spray tan, and then they wear the same clothes and take the same style photo in the same fields. It's crazy.
What about the men? Because like now the hair that you have, but that's not very Mormon style. Right?
I would have been kicked out of college if I had hair like this. For my college, yeah, clean cut. You couldn't, if it touched your collar, you could be kicked out. And if it went over your ears, it could be kicked out. So it's really just like fades and like high and tight, cropped.
Again, you see the sweet thing, gelato. Again, it's the sweet. It's like every profile is about how much.
Well, it's also, Mormon dating culture is very much intentional dates where you go do one thing and then you take them home. You also like serial date. Like people in Utah and Provo will have 4 to 5 dates in a week, and that's not weird. Like, yeah, when I was in college, it literally was like any night that I was free, I found a date. Because everyone dates, everyone's just trying to find their husband or wife. Which means that you go to a soda shop, or you go to Crumble, or you go get a sweet treat because it's easy and yeah.
You know what it sounds like? It sounds like 1950s.
Basically, yeah. It's also interesting that you only meet people to date on intentional dates. Like you ask people, do you want to go on a date with me to do this? There's not, hey, do you want to go do this? Or do you want to like get to know each other not on our best behavior? It's like you're trying to create a relationship that's built on absolutely nothing after 4 hours total with somebody. Like me growing up, all of the girls that I had crushes on was because they seemed very spiritual and very in tune with God. And for me, that was because I wanted to get married in the temple, you know? So that was like the most important thing to me, which is, it's interesting because it's all a facade. Like it's all It's performance. Everyone's performing.
So I'm standing in front of Swigs, which is the place where you go to do dirty sodas. So I came here today because I really wanted to talk to the Mormons, and in my mind, I had a place that was like 1950s, everybody in poofy skirts, I don't know why. Literally like everyone having milkshakes, that's what I thought. It literally is a drive-through. There's literally nothing here. This is the drink menu. You got a whole lot of sugar in this.
You got it.
From Dr. Pepper to raspberry to mango puree to coconut cream. I was told to get the founder, which is Diet Coke, sugar-free coconut, fresh lime, coconut cream, which sounds like a ton of sugar, but actually doesn't sound terrible. Oh, here we go.
Oh.
Marina? Okay, thank you so much. Thank you. So if I would describe the taste, I would say it's basically like drinking, I would say it's like a mix of Coke and Dr. Pepper and a ton of ice. But I don't feel anything else. But I know that like if you look inside, it's a ton of cream. Like if you open it, you don't want to drink it. Like if you see what's inside of this, you're like, am I putting this in my body? So I'm sitting in a parking lot drinking sugary soda. That's how you have a fun time here in Utah. Cheers. So since my first attempt at the Mormon college had turned into a near disaster, apart from the one poor guy basically cornered into being interviewed, I realized I needed to go straight to the source, aka the Mormon University, BYU. And apparently getting there without a car was going to be an adventure. An Uber, a train, and a bus, but damn, I was committed. And then, completely by chance, my Uber driver turned out to be this Latin American guy who had moved to Salt Lake City 20 years ago. So you were saying that when you arrived, it was largely Mormons here in Salt Lake City.
Yeah, about 25 years ago when I came to Salt Lake City, there was about 85 to 90% of Mormon population. Nowadays, because a lot of people like myself are moving here, I'm not Mormon, maybe only 65% here in Salt Lake. Now the Mormon people are moving out of Salt Lake. Some people are going south to Provo. Other people are going up north. I mean, Idaho is probably have more Mormon than Salt Lake.
Oh, really? Idaho?
Idaho, yeah. They are the nicest people. When I came here, I bought a house in West Jordan. I was the only non-Mormon on the cul-de-sac. Everybody was Mormon and white. But the nicest people. Mormon are the nicest people. I have nothing bad to say about them.
Today I woke up in the morning and I was like, there's no way around it. I have to go to BYU Provo. This is where, proper Mormons go. I mean, Salt Lake City, you definitely get some here and there, but I feel like it's a lot more focused here. I think I'm gonna get more interviews because Salt Lake City is very, very diverse. While you do have Mormons there, I feel like it's not as Mormon-centric as it would be here. So yeah, let's see how Provo is different. I'm actually really excited. It took me an hour to get here. Coming to BYU, I seriously felt like some sort of wildlife reporter. And here we have the young college elder in his natural habitat. Notice the immaculate white shirt and the quiet search for potential eternal companion. Guys, I'm super sorry to interrupt. I'm from Canada. I'm making a video on the LDS community. That's why I'm in BYU. Would you be up for answering just a few questions? It's about relationships as an LDS, but I'll keep it like if you don't want to answer certain questions that you don't have to at all, it would just take 5 minutes.
I can do that.
Okay, perfect.
Hi, I'm Ivy.
I'm Thomas.
And you guys go to BYU?
Yeah.
He does. I'm graduated. I haven't served a mission.
You haven't, okay.
I have served a mission.
You have. So when you come back from the mission, something that I heard is typically, and I don't know if it's changed, that people find their partner and they want to get married. Is that still true?
I think that's part of the mission of the church and the plan of exaltation to eventually get married, not necessarily in this life, and I don't think it's immediate for everybody, but personally I am going in that direction.
Is there an age where you feel like I should be married already?
Here in Provo, I think a lot of people get married younger, or there's kind of an expectation that you find your person to marry when you're in college. A lot of people expected to know if they wanted to date somebody by like date 3, and if you didn't know by date 3, like that was it, you wouldn't like cut it off. It's kind of a meme where people are like, oh, you date for 3 months and then you're engaged and you're married, and that does happen. Like I had a roommate who they were dating for like 4 months, and then they were engaged for 2 months after that, and then got married. So their whole like first date to marriage was like 6 months-ish.
Do you know anyone who was dated for like a month and got married?
Yeah, I know people like that. I also know people who've never gone on a date and they're married.
How does that work?
That's crazy.
Like my supervisor, he just was with her a lot and they were friends, and one time he approached her and they were both ready to get married.
That's crazy to me. That blows my mind.
And then another one of my coworkers has only dated one person, and that's his wife.
Do you guys use Vidinge or any other programs when you watch movies?
I'd say for me, I most of the time will not watch R-rated. Sometimes I do watch something that maybe has explicit language, and that's why it's rated R.
Okay, so explicit language is kind of where you draw the line, but you're like, if there's like sex scenes, like I'm not that comfortable with that.
Yeah, I'm not comfortable watching sex scenes.
I personally will not watch R-rated movies without talking with a lot of people and finding who have already seen it, seen why they've seen it, and if there's something important that I do need to see.
As part of the community, would you ever date someone who's not?
I would, but I would want to know a lot about them and what their commitments are.
For me, it's important that I get married in the temple. And to get married in the temple, you need a temple recommend, which is you got to be part of the church. So I think there are lots of good people, and I don't have any hate against those people. Hate is a strong word, but I personally would like to date somebody in the church.
Andres.
I'm Braden.
Isaac.
I'm Tasha.
And all of you guys go to BYU, obviously, because you're all studying here?
Yes.
Yes, okay. And where are you from originally?
I'm from Pennsylvania.
I'm from Virginia.
I'm from Canada.
I'm from Texas.
Very nice, very diverse. No sex before marriage. Is that still upheld, or do you feel like you know some people that are either doing it or using the loopholes?
Using the loopholes is
The
crazy.
loopholes, so you know you're always going to get that question.
I think the standard of our church, our religion, and our beliefs is that you wait to have sex until you're married. And that's to protect the sanctity of it. We do believe that it is one of the most precious experiences that you can have in this life. And because of that, we've been asked to save that for something that is protected by the promises of marriage. And we believe that when you do that, it blows the doors wide open for an experience that you might not otherwise have, both in terms of the longevity of your marriage and the health of your relationship and with other people. People are always gonna do their own thing.
Speaking of these loopholes, have you actually heard of someone who did that? I'm not even going to name it. You know what I'm talking about.
No, I really think it's just like a internet thing. That
No, I know.
Do you know people?
Yeah, I
That's
know people.
crazy.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's so blatantly like loophole-ish that it's like just do it at that point. Like why involve someone else?
I think why there are so many loopholes is because the church is doing a really good job of like turning the focus away from like this is a rule that our church has, because the purpose of the commandments are to protect us and draw us closer to God and to help us become more like Him. Simply obeying the commandment just because it is a commandment doesn't help us like a whole lot unless we learn how to use our agency wisely.
I heard about that a lot of people don't watch, or most people don't watch R-rated movies here, and they use something called VidAngel. True, not so true, depends.
I'm gonna be totally honest. I watch a lot of R-rated movies. Me too. I love war movies. Like, most of them are R-rated, and I don't know, I love them.
But is there a difference between an R-rated movie that has, let's say, explicit language or violence versus like intimate scenes? Like, where do you draw the line?
If there's like a sex scene in a movie, I'm not gonna like, I don't know, be weird about it, but like, I'm also not gonna like seek that out, you know?
Replay it, yeah.
You know, I'm not gonna, it really depends on what that scene or what the content of the movie makes me feel, and if I don't feel comfortable with it, I just don't watch it.
Have you done a mission yet? All of you?
Yes.
Everybody?
Yeah, I have.
What I know is once you finish your mission, technically, and maybe this is old news, but you should, find a partner, get married, and find your eternal partner essentially. Ring by spring.
As part of our religion, we make covenants with God, and that's what baptism is. And essentially that's like a promise with God that helps us draw closer to him, and it helps us become more like him. So that's the purpose of them. The next covenant that we can make, and also with another person, is marriage. And so that's why it's like kind of a big deal, because that's like the next milestone. So yes, there is like a little bit of pressure to find someone to make that covenant with, but God has a plan and he has his own timing.
I also think that within the church, we're taught that the family is one of the greatest blessings we've been given. All of us love our families. They are like the source, the greatest source of our joy. While there is, I think, like she said, there is a little bit of pressure, I think through seeing how Heavenly Father has provided that opportunity for us, it's like, why wouldn't you want to start that as soon as possible? Why wouldn't you want to start the greatest part of your life as soon as you can?
So who here is married? Do we just have one person? Oh wow, okay, two of you. How long, if I can ask, did you guys date your partner before getting married?
I think I'm gonna get two very different answers between the two of us.
Yeah.
So I dated my now wife. We were dating for about 6 months before we were married. It was really, really fast for us. And it was pretty shortly after I got off my mission. But for both of us, like, we had talked, we'd interact with a bunch of different people, and when we found each other, it was like, oh, like, this is totally different from anybody else. And we both prayed a lot, we thought really hard, we counseled, trusted people in our lives, and we were both like, yeah, this is what we want to do. And we went forward and did it. Both of us wanted to start a family. So we don't want to sit around not pursuing our highest goals in life.
Yeah, my experience was a little different. I knew my wife we were friends for like 2 years, and then we dated for a year before we got married. I wanted to make sure that I did my due diligence and my homework and gave enough time for our relationship to develop to a point where I felt comfortable stepping into the shoes of marriage. I think people do get married kind of fast sometimes here at BYU. In my personal opinion, I think sometimes it's a little too fast. And I do think some of that might come from social pressure you were talking about before. I think that pressure's very social in nature and not doctrinal.
So what is the fastest that you personally all know of someone getting married?
I want to say it's like 2 weeks. It's crazy, dude. I don't know if they're still together. I would be so surprised. I mean, I think they only knew each other for like a month and then dated for 2 weeks, and they're like, yeah, this is good. It's so crazy to me.
Have you heard of the term Jack the Mormon?
Yeah.
Hey, you're trying to navigate a weird and confusing world, but if I want to be dating you, there's standards that I have and that I want to live by.
I don't know. We all struggle like in life, and I think that struggling to live a certain way, even though like you want to live a certain way, does not make you less of a child of God. Heavenly Father loves all of us.
As a part of the Latter-day Saints, would you date someone who wasn't?
Personally, no. And that's not to say that like people that are not of my faith are not good people, but I have certain goals, and I know where I want to be in my life, and that involves like dating and marrying a member of my church so that I can go and be married in the temple and make those covenants with God.
While I would date, like as far as like going on dates with somebody that was not a member, I think I would try and make it very transparent, very clear that like, hey, look, I would like prefer that you like give my beliefs a try, like just like learn about it. You don't have to convert. I mean, like you learn about it, see if it's something you'd be interested in, because this is what I want to do. What we believe is that Heavenly Father knows each of us individually and perfectly. And I was born to a family that raised me in the church. And I believe these things because I believe them, but I think there's a high chance that I wouldn't believe them if I was to grow up in a Catholic family. That doesn't make me less faithful. It's what I was taught, and a Heavenly Father understands that.
I had very high expectations before coming to Provo. In my head, I was about to step into this weird little 1950s time capsule. And obviously, I was really excited to find a proper dirty soda place. But instead, I found another drive-thru. And honestly, there wasn't a whole lot else going on. But the university conversations, those were definitely worth the trip. First of all, I was really happy with myself. Just the amount of courage that it took to go to BYU and talk to some active Mormons. I was like, you did it. But also, I was actually quite taken back by the warm response, especially of that second group that I talked to. And not only were they friendly and a lot more willing to talk about some very personal subjects, but I also found them to be a lot more laid back than what I had assumed LDS to be. And by the way, I'm going to release the full version of this interview to my members only. So if you are a member, you can check it out. And if you're not, please join so you can watch my members only videos and support the channel. And by the way, don't forget to subscribe if you like this video. I have to say there is something so admirable about the way they held themselves up to a high standard and seemed so very intentional about dating. And I mean, who says that swiping and hookup culture is the norm? I mean, maybe we're the weird ones. But walking through the streets of Provo, in the words of Carrie Bradshaw, I couldn't help but wonder, if you're 20 years old, have your natural biological urges, how much of this ring by spring is about finding the right person, and how much of it is actually just wanting to have sex? On top of that, when you're under so much pressure to find a partner and get married young, do you even have time to figure out if you're compatible? Never mind sexually compatible. And then there's the bigger question. If you're taught for years that sexual thoughts are something you need to control, including a 2-year mission when you're expected to constantly police your own thoughts and behavior, what happens when you suddenly get married and that entire set of rules flips? How do you go from total restraint to complete sexual intimacy? Almost overnight. So the next day I met Nadia, a Brazilian ex-Mormon who was willing to talk to me about what intimacy actually looked like inside our marriage.
I have a sister who's 5 years older than me. She joined the LDS Church first. And then after, it was like, it's my turn. I was just being a bratty, following her dreams. I'm like, okay, I need to go too. So I came. I did some back and forth between Brazil and here until I moved for real. Because I grew up religious in a Seventh-day Adventist church, I think I was conditioned in a way to have religion in my life. So I was 13 when I joined the LDS Church. And then at 18, I came here to the US for the first time, served an LDS mission here in Utah, and then in 2006 I came back and ended up getting married. No sex before marriage, no alcohol, nothing like that. I was very devout. What I'm wearing today, I could have never. You're supposed to be modest and I'll show some of your shoulders, but once you go to a temple and you get your garments, which is just a special type of underwear really, and that shows commitment to the covenants, the promises you're making to God. You can remove them swimming, having sex, or at the gym. Other than that, even on vacation, you're supposed to be wearing them. They are also a protection, spiritual protection.
And did you believe that when you were part of the LDS?
I did. They're ugly. There's nothing sexy about that. And you don't wear like traditional panties because it's pointless. You're wearing already a pair of shorts and then a bra on top of that thing, so it's ugly. And yes, during intimate time you can wear cute lingerie, but on a day-to-day basis, aside from that, I didn't. I thought you were born with that sex appeal, but it makes sense that I didn't feel that way because religiously we're supposed to be very modest and, you know, like proper and sweet. And how do you tap into your sexuality like that and without life experience, without experimenting your body? And even I don't know what the church's view is when it comes to nowadays, but at least back then it was not okay. You were not supposed to touch your body. The thing is, all these things, the alcohol, the no smoking, they're taken seriously. There's no one or the other. Although breaking the law of chastity, which is having sex before marriage, that's compared to killing somebody, really. It's very serious.
So I'm in the Deseret bookstore, which is the official place for, a lot of the Mormon books and even clothing. So I'm gonna go around and show you some of the things that you can find here. So you can see the Mormon clothing here. So these are some of the undergarments. So this one is the feminine one, and these are the men's. And of course we have Joseph Smith. So here you have a replica of the Provo temple, and here you have the eternal marriage.
I dated for 6 months before I got married. Typical Mormon wedding. It's very fast.
You were how old when you had started dating him?
I was 24, 23, 24.
And you didn't have sex?
No.
Were you tempted at all? I mean, dating each other for 6 months?
Yes, I was. I attacked him a little bit, but no, there wasn't any close call. In fact, we even spent a couple nights together in the same bed and nothing happened. No, even like a touch here. Was literally, we shared the bed. I'm one side, him the other. I don't think it's realistic to keep yourself, like not have sex before marriage. It's not something I would ever do or even recommend my kids to do. But I see the value of like, you are careful with who you give your body to. Your body's precious, and I see that still. Coming from Brazil and where we're more sex positive, I didn't, and inexperienced too, I didn't even know that people could be incompatible sexually. I thought everybody would be compatible. So I wasn't ever worried about that. But then reality hit. I was like, oh, we can be incompatible, because that's what happened in my marriage. My ex-husband and I, we get along well, so I don't want to respect some of that. But because his upbringing, he was born in the religion, I think there was something to do with that. A lot of people are sexually repressed. From a young age, you're being told, this is bad, you can't do it, only when you get married. And then you get married and you're expecting a switch to turn on, like, we can have sex, yay. For some people that might be the case, but a lot of people don't. And I've heard from many therapists that a lot of women cry in their honeymoon because they thought it was wrong what they did, even though they're legally married. Because it is a sin, and God supposedly read your thoughts. So even when I was thinking about sexual stuff, I would feel guilty because I was sinning. I wasn't being told I was sexy or hot or beautiful by my husband, or even the we were really two friends that were watching movies, different ends of the couch, rarely holding hands. Like, the physical component wasn't missing. It was missing.
The lead up to the intimate atmosphere that leads. It wasn't like turn off the light, okay, let's do it. That's, you need to get from point A to point B, right?
Right, yeah.
Salt Lake City is one confusing city. On the one hand, you have this pretty strong Mormon influence. On the other, a very active LGBTQ+ community. And because I was here in June during Pride Month, the contrast was dialed up to 100. Rainbow flags were everywhere, even just a few blocks from the temple itself. I also ended up at this outdoor party, which only made me feel more confused. It was packed with alternative, trans, and queer people, and yet In true Utah fashion, the state's strict liquor laws meant that the outdoor bar stopped serving alcohol at 8 p.m. sharp. But the contrast gets even more complicated when you look at how the church views homosexuality. In 2011, the doctrine stated that homosexuality, or same-sex attraction, SSA, was a serious sin. But in order to keep up with the times, the 2022 version is slightly more lenient. It actually says that same-sex attraction by itself is not a sin. If you have these feelings and do not pursue or act on them, you are living Heavenly Father's sacred law of chastity. So definitely more forgiving, but still not allowing for anything to happen. So one of my last days here, I decided to walk 30 minutes to one of the most popular gay bars in the city. Now, I had absolutely no idea if they were even going to answer my questions or how I was even going to be received. But almost as soon as I walked through the door, after showing my passport, because of course, the bartender asked me if I wanted a shot. And then I found out that half the bar, bartender included, was ex-Mormon.
I was born and raised pure Mormon.
Wait, that's mine.
Oh, careful.
Oh! I know.
Cheers.
Cheers.
And we're all welcome here at Triangles.
So what is your name?
Sean. I was a military kid. My dad was a Marine Corps officer. We ended up in Utah after 9/11.
My name is Seth, born and raised here in Salt Lake City, Utah.
So you were raised Mormon?
That is correct, yes. Very, very staunch Mormon household.
Raised in the faith here when we moved to Utah. Served in LDS mission because that was what was expected of me.
At what point did you kind of feel like this wasn't for you?
It was before, but then during my mission, I became really close to several people, and it just was a solidifying factor that maybe this is, like, it didn't feel wrong. That's the whole thing in the culture is, like, this is wrong, but what I had with didn't feel wrong.
In many ways, it was really great because a lot of Mormonism, which we don't talk about, is family focused. So I grew up pretty restricted, pretty sheltered. I didn't know a lot about life. I'm 36 years old.
Minus my roommate.
So for me, my parents blocked a lot of channels, stuff like that. So I really didn't have a good sense of what gay was. So it wasn't until I was about 17 that I even realized, what are these feelings that are happening?
It was never talked about. I returned as an honorable missionary, is what you would call it. I started attending a student ward where the college where I was going to, and I was the gospel doctrine teacher. Every single week, I learned, my feelings had never subsided, but I learned as the gospel doctrine teacher that I started teaching kids my own age that were engaged, not even just dating, engaged to other people at 20 years old. And it was like this, like, aha moment. Like, okay, one, this isn't for me. This is not for me.
Did the church talk at all about same-sex attraction, they call it?
So I was just coming into being an adult when they started using that language. I came out at 19, and it was really hard for me to go from, like, I don't know what this is, to all of a sudden I'm starting to figure out what it is, but now you're addressing it this way as same-sex attraction, and same-sex attraction has a problem. Hey, I think I might feel this way, and then all of a sudden I'm hearing how bad it is. Oh.
When you get home from your mission, you start college, and the goal is, that is the timeline to find somebody. And I didn't. What the hell's the matter with me? Like, what's the matter with me? Next 6 months is the prime time to find a wife, and I struggle with that.
You couldn't?
I couldn't.
Did you know why you struggled with that?
I did.
So did you go on dates with girls then?
I mean, I tried a couple of times, but I got this really weird sense. It was, I really like you, but as a friend. So I went on a couple of dates. I never had a girlfriend, never kissed a girl.
Because, one of the ultimate, I suppose, goals is to get married in the temple, right?
Correct,
How did you feel about that?
There's a lot of pressure, and my parents had a lot of ideal partners for me, which was really hard. Yeah, so I did feel very lonely and very isolated because I was never getting that attachment as, you know, you have your first big boyfriend, girlfriend, breakup, heartbreak, all that stuff. I never got that.
My life would have been a lot easier if I was straight. A lot easier. When you come to a Mormon culture, it's not necessarily bad. You learn a lot of morals. You learn what's good and bad. Differences teaches you're gay. That's actually not a thing. You're not actually gay. You're not. You're confused.
I refused a mission, which is a big thing in Mormon culture, right? You go on a mission as a man and right at 19. If you don't, it's because there's some suspicion. Why are you going on a mission? Are you being sinful? Are you being whatever? But I was just smart enough to realize I can't go away for 2 years to a random assigned country. I think I might break. Went to college. A couple months in, went to their gay straight alliance and let them know, like, hey, I don't know what I'm doing at all. I'm completely unaware. I'm lost. I don't know what this is supposed to look like. One of the leaders of the gay straight alliance said, let me take you on a date, not because I'm asking you on a date for me personally, but because you need a gay date.
Came to the fact that, like, I'm not happy at all. I can be successful. I can be a kind human. And I don't think God's going to judge me, because if you believe in God, then God made me this. That's where I feel like I have to end up in life, is back where I grew up. Back in that community as being successful.
So you want to go back to where you felt this like weird shame or whatever, and show that it's now this is who I am and I don't care. This doesn't affect me anymore and this is totally fine.
Well, it doesn't. Yeah, exactly.
My biggest thing is I struggle with doing anything that my mind deems immoral. Like, the church is built on shame. So, like, I can't really do anything that causes me any shame.
Like, what would those things be?
Well, small things like confrontation. Confrontation can cause shame because you're also taught that you have to be always happy and pleasant and nice.
2024, when I got divorced and I left the church before getting a divorce, but it happened the same year. It was more of a claim of identity, of wanting to make decisions on my own without influence of religion telling me what I should wear, what I should eat, what I should drink, who should I marry. Like, I wanted to make my own decisions. And I wanted to feel like a woman, and I didn't in my relationship. You know, drinking wine, even a tiny bit. I was like, oh, I hope God doesn't throw like a thunder lightning in my head, strike me in the head. Or even when I stopped wearing garments, it's a protection. Like, I remember I threw everything away except for one pair, and then I took a flight somewhere and I wore them. I'm like, okay, just in case, I don't want this airplane to fall, so I'm gonna wear this thing. I was still waiting. I was still in shock, kind of like just waiting for something horrible to happen to me as a consequence of me not keeping the commandments.
What has been the hardest thing about leaving the church?
Rediscovering myself. Church, a religion, tells you what to do. You don't have, like, yes, on day to day you're making decisions, but in the LDS religion, you have a plan. It's called the plan of salvation. The goal is for you to go back to God. And for you to go back to God, there are those rules you need to follow. So you know all those rules, you know what you should do, what you shouldn't do. It's like my foundation was gone. Now I need to make my own decisions. And that got messy because I was operating as a 18-year-old in her 40s who made some poor decisions.
So when I left, you kind of have to like stop with your whole community. You have to just like leave. So I left and I dropped out of college and then I moved into my car. I had this moment when I moved into my car where I went to Yellowstone for the first time because I was like, might as well road trip. And then I realized that I literally had nobody to call and tell about my time in Yellowstone. And then I realized that, wait, I've never been to a party. I've never been to someone's house that wasn't Mormon. I've never developed friendships with people that weren't Mormon. And now I'm living in my car in the middle of nowhere.
Imagine a domesticated animal and then suddenly like, okay, go to the forest now, you're free. And like, oh, now I have to hunt? Like how, like somebody brings me food from the pet store. And I felt similarly. I felt like I woke up from a coma and now I'm trying to figure out, make decisions without church, without external noises. And I made some poor decisions. So it was hard.
You're kind of just taught not to second guess anything. If someone tells you to do something or to believe something, you just do it. So I had to like work really, really hard to not just like believe whatever I was told.
I'm envious of my sister who, she joined the church, but she had a hard time keeping the rules, so she did everything you're not supposed to do. And I'm like, but she lived her life, and now I'm like, I've had a lot of mourning of a time that I can never go back. Sometimes I miss my old life, my boring married life, unfulfilling life with my kids. I miss that more than the actual religion. Life was more simple. I didn't have a whole lot of heartbreaks as I do now, because every learning experience, sometimes they're painful. The path of self-discovery is not easy, and it can be painful. So it is easier just to be a robot and be told what to do.
Was there anything positive about growing up Mormon?
Kept me out of trouble. I didn't get anybody pregnant in high school. I learned Spanish on my mission.
Okay.
That's about it.
That's
I appreciate the Spanish.
Coming into Utah, I gotta admit, I had my own set of stereotypes about Mormons. But leaving, I'm walking away with something much more nuanced. Because I can actually see the appeal of the blueprint. There's something very beautiful about having such a strong focus on family, commitment, and marriage. And this idea of the eternal marriage, you're not just promising to love someone until death do us part, you're promising to love them for an eternity, and that's pretty powerful. And if you genuinely believe that, I'd understand why you'd want to take dating seriously. The problem is what happens when you don't quite fit the blueprint. If you're gay, do you choose your community and stay celibate? Or do you choose love and lose everything? Because that's a pretty brutal choice to make. If everyone around you is getting married and you feel that pressure, do you rush into a relationship, marriage, kids, before really understanding if both of you are compatible? And if you're given so many rules about how you're supposed to live, do you ever actually stop and ask yourself about what you actually want? Because maybe that's the real trade-off. You get certainty, you get community, and you get a clear map for eternity. But when the map is already drawn for you, how much room is there to question where you're actually going? Because here's the thing, the church gives you all the answers, but not much room to question them.